Have you ever been there? You're just trying to help an aging loved one, and you get hit with that firm, solid no. It's so frustrating, right? And a little bit confusing. But what if that no isn't really a no at all? Okay, let's dive in and really unpack what's going on behind that resistance. I want you to just picture this scene for a second. Mrs. T's daughter is trying to help her with the groceries. And Mrs. T, with a voice that's maybe a little shaky but sharp as a tack, just says, "I've got it." Man, that's a moment that plays out in homes everywhere, isn't it? It's the flashpoint of a conflict that is about so much more than a bag of groceries. So, what is really happening when you hear that word? It is so easy to feel shut down, to get frustrated. But if we really want to understand, we've got to learn to listen past the word itself and hear the message that's hiding behind it. And this is where it all comes down to perspective. It's a real game changer. You see, Mrs. T's son might call what she's doing stubbornness, but if we put on a different set of glasses, a behavioral lens, we see it's not stubbornness at all, it's preservation. And that's a huge shift, isn't it? We stop seeing defiance and start seeing a desperate fight to hold on to who they are. And that right there, that is the heart of it. The fight is almost never about the groceries or taking the pills or cleaning the house. It's about what that offer of help means to them. For so many older adults, accepting that help feels like, well, it feels like admitting defeat. It's a painful signal that their independence is slipping, and that is a massive loss. So let's dig a little deeper, okay? Let's get under the hood and look at the powerful engines that are actually driving this need for preservation. What's really going on? Usually, it boils down to a few key things. First, there's that huge primal fear of losing control, of having to surrender your own independence. Sometimes it's a kind of cognitive fog. They genuinely don't see their own limitations the way you do. Other times, it's just about routine. A new person or a new gadget can feel like a total invasion. And you can never forget emotional memory. Past experiences in care can absolutely color how they react to help today. And these drivers, they aren't just abstract ideas. They are so real. For Mrs. T, every time her daughter offered to help, it zapped her right back to a time after a surgery where she felt completely powerless. For another gentleman, Mr. K, a veteran, his daughter's help didn't feel like help. It felt like being forced to surrender his command, a core piece of who he was. This quote just nails the disconnect, doesn't it? The caregiver sees refusal and naturally gets frustrated, but the aging parent, they feel like they are in a fight for their life, preserving the last little piece of themselves they still have control over. Two people in the same room having completely different experiences. So, understanding this is one thing, but what can we actually do with this knowledge? Well, there's a really practical framework we can use from applied behavior analysis. It gives us a tool to not just understand these moments, but to actually become a detective and decode them. It's called the ABC model, and it's actually beautifully simple. A is for antecedent. What happens right before the refusal? Think of it as the trigger. B is for the behavior. What does that no actually look or sound like? And C is for the consequence. What happens right after? This is where the whole pattern reveals itself. Let's really zoom in on that C for a moment, because the consequence is everything. It's just what happens after the behavior. But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. Even with the best intentions in the world, like offering comfort or even just walking away frustrated, we might be accidentally encouraging the exact behavior we want to change. Look at how this works. For Mrs. T, when she refused help, her daughter would stay longer, trying to comfort and persuade her. So her no actually became a really effective tool for getting connection. Now look at Mr. K. When he refused help, his daughter got frustrated and backed off, giving him space. So his no became a tool for avoidance. See? The exact same behavior, doing two completely different jobs. Okay, so once we can see the pattern, once we've kind of cracked the code, the next big question is, how do we change it? How do we break that cycle of conflict and start building something that feels more like a partnership? The goal here is not to win an argument. It's to make help feel safe. So instead of making demands, we can offer simple choices to give them back some autonomy. Instead of nagging, maybe we use visual prompts, like a simple checklist on the fridge. We can even pair a task they don't like with something they do. And of course, just acknowledging when they cooperate and keeping routines predictable, that goes a really long way. And you can see how this works in the real world. For Mrs. T, The argument stopped when her daughter created a shared daily list. It put Mrs. T back in the driver's seat. For Mr. K, his daughter swapped the arguments over shopping for a simple checklist. It let him feel like he was still in command. These are small, simple shifts, but the impact is absolutely huge. And look, this isn't just some nice idea. It is backed by solid research. Studies show over and over that when a person feels like they still have some control, some autonomy, cooperation goes way, way up. The need to resist just kind of melts away. So really, when you boil it all down, this whole thing points to a fundamental shift in how we think. True caregiving isn't about one person controlling another. It's about collaboration. It's about building a partnership that's based on mutual respect. I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. What if the next time you hear that no, you don't hear a brick wall? What if instead you hear a quiet question they're asking? Do you still see me as a person? Am I still in charge of my own life? Because if we can start to hear the question behind the refusal, we can stop responding with frustration and start responding with the dignity, the respect, and the partnership they're truly asking for.